All right, so I wanted to do a video to show you the process I typically use to integrate PhantomBuster with Airtable. This is a common ask from PhantomBuster users because Airtable is a very flexible database management tool, and many people want to extract all the leads that they scrape using PhantomBuster and store them in a database in Airtable. Many people use it as a CRM, as a project management tool. So yeah, it's a very common, it's a very common integration that people want to build. So the problem with this integration is that PhantomBuster does not natively support it. It doesn't have an Airtable integration. So you need to build a custom workflow, a custom automation that will take the data from PhantomBuster via API and then send it to Airtable. So to do this, I usually use make.com, which is a workflow automation platform. And what you see here is a scenario, an example scenario that I built, which takes data. By the way, scenario is an automation in Make. And what this scenario does, it takes data from a PhantomBuster Phantom and then sends it to Airtable. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to walk you through this automation and explain how it works. All right, so the first step in this automation, the first action is a PhantomBuster get a Phantom module. So what this does is it gets information about a specific Phantom that I select from the list. So a little bit, so in this example, the use case is that I'm using this LinkedIn search export Phantom to extract the search results of a LinkedIn search. So in this example, I performed a search for marketers in the United States, and I used this Phantom to extract the results from that search, and you can see the results here. So basically, the goal in this example is to take these results and sync them with Airtable. I want to transfer them to this base right here. So going back to the automation, the first module here gets me information about that Phantom. And if I run this specific module, you'll see what information I get. So I get the Phantom ID, I get the name of the Phantom, I get all the configuration information. But what I need from here, the reason I need to have this module is because I need to get the S3 folder and the org S3 folder IDs. So what is this? Basically, when you set up a Phantom, the results that the Phantom retrieves get stored in a JSON file that lives in an Amazon S3 bucket. So Amazon S3 bucket is, for those of you who are not technical, is like a cloud storage bucket, like Google Drive. You can think of it like that. And that file has a URL, and you can see that URL even in the interface by going to more, and then here you'll see a result JSON. So if I copy this link and I open it in a new tab, let me open it so you can see what we get here. It's a JSON file with all the results that the Phantom has retrieved, right? So now the URL, as you can see here, has two IDs as parameters. So this is the first one, and this is the second one. So I need to retrieve these, and these are, these are specific to the Phantom. Every Phantom has a different set of IDs because that's how you get the correct file that contains the information that you scraped. So in order for me to get this data inside the scenario here so I can pass it to Airtable, I need to do an HTTP request where I'm essentially I'm getting the contents of that JSON file. But in order to construct this URL, I need to have the org S3 folder ID and the S3 folder ID, which I'm getting from this module, which gets me the information about the Phantom. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, I'm performing the HTTP GET request here. Let me I'm just gonna unlink it so I can run just this part of the automation. And you can see here in the output of this module, in the data, we have an array with 10 results, right? So this is the contents of that JSON file that I retrieved. Now, what I want to do next is I want to perform a set of actions for each item in this array. And the way I can achieve that is by using an iterator. So what an iterator does is it takes as input an array. So in this case, my array is the output of this, the data output of this module here. And what this will do is it will essentially allow me to execute everything that comes after the iterator for every item that is part of that array, or in other words, every result that is part of the array. And the actions that I want to perform in this case is, first, I want to search through my Airtable here to see if a record for the result I'm currently processing already exists. Because if it already exists, I don't want to create it again. I don't want to have duplicated records. So in that case, I want to update the record that already exists. But in the case where the record does not exist, then I want to create it. That's why there is a router here, and I'm performing a different action based on two conditions. So if we go into the filters here, the conditions, you can see that if the total number of bundles that this module retrieves is greater than 0, then that means the record exists and I want to update it. And by the way, bundles is, you can think of it as the results that a module retrieves. And actually, let me show you this in action. So I'm just gonna link it here and execute this first part of the automation. So you can see this is now being executed 10 times because of the iterator. The iterator has 10 bundles, 10 results to process, and for each result, it's executing whatever comes after. So this got executed 10 times. And you can see that in each operation here, because currently my table is empty, there is no bundle that gets returned, right? The number of bundles is 0, which means that there is no records. So in this case, this filter condition here would fail, right? Because the condition here is that the total number of bundles is greater than 0. But that's not the case for any of those searches. So it would actually go through the other path, which has as a condition, total number of bundles is equal to 0, which means that a record does not exist, therefore I need to create the record. Now, before we open these two modules to see the configuration, let's first open this one and see what is the search criteria. So the search criteria here is that the full name column in the table, so this column here, needs to be, there needs to be a record where the full name column is equal to the value of the full name data point that the iterator, the data point of the result that the iterator is currently processing, right? Because remember, this whole thing here will be executed for each result. So every time the search records module here gets executed, the iterator will be passing it a different value. And you can also see this here in the output. Formula, full name is equal to Maria. Then if we go to operation 2, formula name is equal to this person. Then operation 3 is equal to this person. Operation 4 is equal to this. So the formula dynamically gets updated based on the values that based on the values of the result that the iterator is currently processing. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. And then if we open up these modules, so the updater, let's go with the create a record module first. So you see here that I'm basically saying that I want you to create a record, and here are all the columns that I have in my table. And for each column, I'm passing the value that I want that column to have. And again, this is mapped dynamically. I want the column to have the value of the value that is available as part of the result that the iterator is currently processing. So the first name, last name, profile URL, so on and so on. And then here, this is so search is basically what I wanted to do here is indicate what type of LinkedIn search I performed in order to retrieve these results. Because when I was creating this automation, I was thinking that it wouldn't just be used for one phantom, it could be used for multiple phantoms, right? So I could have one phantom that retrieves the marketers in the US, and then I could switch it to process the results of another phantom, which retrieves the search results of, I don't know, account executives in New York, for example, right? And in order to know where the search result came from, I said that I want to pass the name of the phantom as a value of this column. And the name of the phantom I'm getting from the first module here, which retrieves the configuration information of the phantom, which also includes the name of the phantom, as you can see here. And then the update a record module is pretty much the same as the create a record module, with the only difference here is that we are updating a record, therefore we need to provide the ID of the record that we want to update. And the ID of the record we want to update is retrieved by the search records module, right? Because if this manages to find the record that already exists, then it also knows the ID of that record. So we're able to pass that ID here and tell it that that's the record we want to update. So now if I go ahead and execute the entire thing, we should see 10 records get created. There we go. We see it in real time. Okay. And now let's say, let's also try to update. So, and I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna delete just one of the records. So now it should update 9 records and it should create 1 record. So let's try it and see. There we go. So it updates. So there we go. Updates 9, creates 1. There we go. Right? So that's how this works. And also you can schedule the automation. So you can run it manually, as I've been doing in this example, or you can click here on the clock icon to schedule when you want this to run. So you can either run at regular intervals, let's say every 15 minutes, or you can set it to run, let's say every day at a specific time. And then once you set your scheduling options, you would switch it on and then save the scenario, and that should be it. It will automatically get triggered. So yeah, that's how I go about building a basic, let's call it a data sync automation between PhantomBuster and Airtable. Now the cool thing is that, you know, the same concept can be used to sync data between PhantomBuster and any other tool. I would imagine that in most cases, you know, the first 3 modules here would be the same, and then the last 3, let's say 4 modules here would be different, you know, depending on the app that you want to send the data to. For example, you know, if instead of Airtable you want to send the data to, I don't know, Pipedrive CRM, you know, you would have one module where you search if a record exists in Pipedrive CRM. If not, then you would create it. If yes, then you would update it, you know, something along those lines. the concept in general is the same with all data sync processes, unless you want to do something more complex where you might want to manipulate data along the way, change the data along the way, or you might want to retrieve additional data from somewhere else. There's tons of things, tons of different requirements that someone might have for a data sync automation. But in general, the foundation should be the same. So yeah, I hope this overview was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And if you want my help building this type of automation, you can click the link in the description below to learn more about my products and services. With that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.